Your gut is your second brain. It is one of the crucial elements to whole body health. Mind, body, and spirit are all wrapped up in our gut-brain connection. How does that help us? It actually is what facilitates health or illness. That's what we're going to talk about today. So buckle in. We got lots to chat about. It's going to be short, it's going to be sweet, and there's going to be a lot of information packed full into this video. You ready? Let's go. Hey guys. All right. So we're going to do this today. I know I sound all excited, but it has been a week. Some of you have heard that last Tuesday, we got a call that 4 of the teachers at the boys' school were testing positive for COVID, so they obviously shut down the school. We had already picked up the boys, not a big deal, except for the fact that, exposure, which we all know this is a trickle effect. At some point it will go across the board, it will go everywhere and anywhere. They allowed everyone back to school today, but I just wasn't comfortable with sending them back yet. So they're in their playroom, fingers crossed that they play well and nicely and they don't beat each other up and we hear no climbing and screaming and all that. Fingers crossed. They can't knock anything over, so, we're good with that. All right. Plus, mom brain, I took a lot of notes today because this is an important topic. This kind of brings everything together. And from here, we're going to start kind of branching into a lot of the questions that you guys have already asked over the last few months. I've got some polls that I'm going to put up over the next couple of weeks just to kind of confirm a few things and make sure that what I'm sharing with you on these weekly lives aligns with what you need, the information you need that will help you most in achieving a healthy lifestyle. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I feel like if I put all this stuff out there that it should be helpful, but what I deem helpful may not be what you're looking for. So I'll put the polls out, get some feedback from you. If this is going in a direction, the last couple of weeks that doesn't align with what you're looking for, and if there's a bulk of you that are like that, then we will go a completely different direction. Like I said, this weekly live is specifically to help you, to give you information that you can apply in your own life. All right, so I know today's a holiday. I don't expect a lot of y'all to show up. I expect you to go have fun, sleep in, be couch potatoes, do whatever you do on a holiday. All right, but I didn't want to miss this week. So, on to our topic. This week we are talking about the gut-brain connection, or brain-gut connection, however you want to say it. This is one of the crucial elements and has been known and called the mind-body connection. It is where 2 different components talk to your brain and your gut. Now, we've talked over the last couple of weeks about gut health, about cravings, things like that, intuitive eating, right? This is where that all comes together. So why is the gut so important? Well, our gut is basically our second brain. So consider your body. Think about your body as like a computer, all right? And I want you just for a minute to envision that you are a caveman or a cave woman, right? You don't have all the science we have today. Medicine hasn't popped into what it is today. None of this stuff has happened. You have no clue about anything except your surroundings, okay? And all you know and all you feel is your instincts. So instinctively, your body tells you you're thirsty, you drink water or fruit juice or whatever is available, right? When we were growing up, we could go to the honeysuckle plant and suck out some honeysuckle, right? I don't know if I would do that today just because I know a lot of people spray crap all over their yards. But, you could do that. And that is something that would happen in caveman days. So you have all these things that you just naturally do that are passed down from generation to generation. You don't live near a stream, or you've traveled to a place where you can't find water very accessibly. But there's morning dew, so you collect the morning dew because you know you're going to be thirsty later. It's not something you necessarily think about, it's just something that you know to be true. So part of what you have to do to survive is get up, go collect your morning dew, or have someone in your family collect the morning dew so that everybody can have water later, right? You know you're going to be hungry. You know you have to eat. So you gather berries and nuts and, produce, basically, vegetation throughout your day, because you don't know if the hunters are going to bring back meat, if they're going to bring back fish, if all you're going to have to eat today are the lettuce and the leaves that you just gathered. You just go about your day and you just do these things, not because you're thinking, oh my gosh, I need to have, this macro in, and I've got to get that micronutrient in, and I have to make sure that, I'm hydrated, and I've got to make sure I've got an X number of calories in, and I have to go exercise because I got to burn off X number of calories. And you're not thinking about any of that. All you are doing is living. That's my big focus. That has always been my main focus of any client that I work with, myself included, is at some point in time in creation, we just lived. Food wasn't this overwhelming thing. So when we look at gut-brain connection, that's how they were able to just live. That's how they understood, okay, I'm hungry, I need this. This is popping up for me, this craving that I'm having, I need this. And like we talked about last week, when you're craving something, when you crave sweet, for instance, sugar, salt, whatever, you're craving the foods that your body knows you eat, but it also knows that it contains the micronutrients that it needs. So way back when we're living off just pure instinct, right? What our bodies were telling us is that these foods that are local to us, that are in the vegetation that surround us, contain XXX. We need to go find those foods and eat them because our body needs this, this, and this today. How do those signals work? That's what today's all about. So your gut-brain reaction has two pathways. All right, you got your control center and you have your communication center. HPA axis and your vagus nerve. Have you heard about them? The vagus nerve is popping up left and right lately. It's like the new thing to talk about, which is kind of funny because the vagus nerve has been a topic of conversation in the medical community for over 100 years. I mean, it's just been that thing that everyone knows, okay, this is a main communicator. It goes to the brain, it goes to the gut, it sends signals from the gut to the brain. The brain decides, okay, am I going to do this or not? So here's the thing. When you look at your brain-gut connection, we're going to use a little analogy here. You've got your messenger, right? You got your lackey. So Mr. Bigwig CEO up at the top, Mr. Brainiac, is in the control center. Control center is your hypothalamus, your pituitary gland, right? So HPA is your hypothalamus pituitary, or hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. All that means is it's the communication between your hypothalamus, your pituitary gland, and your adrenal gland. Your adrenal gland sits just at the tippy top of each of your kidneys. There's two of them, right? Left and right. Very tippy top of the kidney on both sides. So it communicates between the two. Now your kidneys, as you know, urine, filters, excrement, but anyway. Cleans the blood, all that kind of good stuff. It's one of those elimination organs where it's going to clean things before it kicks out everything, right? Your adrenal gland sits right on top of that, and functions as kind of the soldiers, right? Comes into play when our immune system is threatened, when our body is threatened, adrenal system is activated. How does that happen? Well, your gut decides, I'm hungry, I'm upset, I'm this, I'm that, right? Can you imagine how many of our bodily functions are wrapped up in the brain-gut connection? Basically all of them. I mean, except for reproductive system, which is basically its own system. All right, so when you look at these messages, the reason that the gut is able to tell the brain what it needs is because of the microbiome inside of your stomach. When it is overrun by healthy bacteria that is just an overgrowth, it's like weeds. Dandelions are really healthy for you. But, you know, if they overgrow in your lawn, you don't have grass, all you have is dandelions. And, you know, come spring, when they get all fluffy, you have a lot of allergies. At least I do. Now, you can cut down all the lettuce leaves, you know, the dandelion leaves, you'd be cleansing all year long. But that's not exactly what you want, right? It's an overgrowth. It's not something you want to see. It's not very pretty. It doesn't function very well, right? Same thing with the overgrowth in our gut. We have a healthy balance, and when that healthy balance is either too low or too high, there is an issue, all right? Signals go up to the brain. The brain decides, am I going to respond? And if I do, what is my message? So the vagus nerve comes back down and tells everybody what to do. Make sense? All right, so this is where we get that whole body approach to wellness, where we're looking at bioindividuality. Right now, bioindividuality is actually biochemical individuality. It was coined in 1956. This is not new. There are a lot of well-meaning health coaches out there trying to claim that bioindividuality and biochemical individuality, same thing. I'm going to use bioindividuality just because that's what I'm used to saying. There's a lot of well-meaning health coaches out there that are trying to claim that this is something new, that it's something that science has recently developed. It's not. It's been around for a very long time. Medical doctors discovered in the 1950s that these communication pathways were pretty powerful, that our lifestyles dictated the messages that needed to be sent, the style of the messages, the content of the messages, you know, whether someone needs blueberries versus raspberries, which sound very similar, but there's some minute differences in the micronutrients that they provide you and the antioxidants. You might need more raspberries. I might need more blueberries. It actually might be a reverse because I crave raspberries like you would not believe. And when you're looking at it, you have to look at your mind, body, and your spirit. Okay? And I'm not talking about ghost spirit, woo-woo, you know, the spirit that returns to heaven or goes to hell. I'm not talking about any of that, you guys. I'm talking about your emotional self. That part of you that makes you who you are, your personality, your self-esteem, your feeling of self-worth, how you view yourself, that part of your person. Okay, that part of you is what I'm talking about when we talk spirit. All right, it's the emotional health. That was a house. Okay, a little too loud for a kid. It can rule mood, but your mood is also determined by your digestion, by how you're fueling your body. Because if your body doesn't have what it needs to fuel energy production and metabolization, to fuel a stress response, to fuel just day-to-day activity, then now you're going to be tired. Your brain cannot send happy genes. It can't. you don't send the happy genes, you aren't in a good mood. Kinsey, no. So you would think after last week I would just put them up, but mom brain. It also, when you're looking at mind, body, and spirit, you have to look at physiology. You have to look at your mental well-being. There are 3 different components. Your brain-gut connection can help you identify where there are things lacking. So, your HPA axis, okay? The main function of your HPA axis is stress response. It's just responding to stress. It's making sure that the control center in your brain, which is your hypothalamus and your pituitary gland area, right? Your hypothalamus is your control center. Think inside out. They have the computer, they got all the moves in there. Angry and joy and sadness and yeah. So, little Miss Sassy Pants, I don't know what her name is, but I love her. The little green chick. All right. So you got them up there and they're like, oh, stressful moment. We see it, we know it's happening. We got the signal. The gut's starting going, not sure about this, getting sick, getting a little uneasy, tightening up. You ever feel that when you're stressed? From there, the signal goes down to your adrenal glands, which is in your gut. Triggers release of cortisol, right? The adrenal gland is responsible for determining how much cortisol to release, how much to hold back. An overproduction of cortisol means that this connection, this communication pathways, is not shutting off. It feels like, your body feels like it is in a constant state of stress. It's a chronic stress response where it just doesn't shut off. And your adrenal gland starts overproducing cortisol because that's its protective mechanism. That's its job. That's its function. To help protect us from stress response, regardless of what it is, so that we can survive in whatever way, shape, or form it happens. All right? When it releases too much cortisol, a lot of times it doesn't know when to shut it off. If we're not feeding our bodies the things that it needs, and this is how this cycle begins. You feed your body what it needs, right? But what if you're not eating what your body actually needs? What happens is your gut tells your brain, hey, I need more vitamin B6. I'm low in energy. I need some B12, the vitamin D. Dude, like, come on. You got to give me some. But you're not feeding your body that. So your brain gets these signals. It's like, all right, dude, I'll help you out. And I call everyone dude, just heads up. 10 years in California, it will not go away. I will help you out. But we gotta get creative here, because your host didn't give you the things you need to create what you need, to create the micronutrients that you need. So we're going to have to take this little bit and this little bit and this little bit, and we'll produce something similar. Well, the something similar isn't the vitamin D. It isn't the B12. It isn't the B6. It is a stress response. The brain has basically told, through the hypothalamus and pituitary gland, told the adrenal gland that, hey, we need this stuff. We're not getting it. They're probably starving because, we're not getting these little things. And legit, you guys, you can have a deficiency of one vitamin, one mineral, and your brain will go into a stress cycle. It wasn't this complicated many, many, many years ago. Our bodies have evolved, but that doesn't mean that the system and the processes that it follows has come to this modern world and has gone, oh, but you know what? There's all these different components. So we need to evaluate the different components, and then make a decision. It's keeping it simple. It is literally saying, I need this, this, and this. And the brain's going, well, you didn't get this, this, and this today. So we need to make it, or at least produce something that will help you get by until you can get those helpers, right? Till you can get those molecules. HPA, boom, back into the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands go, all right, whatever, here you go. Here's more cortisol to help you through your stress response. Do you get where I'm going? This cycle will continue and continue and continue. And it's like the carb cycle. So if you guys haven't heard me explain this, let me just take a minute and explain this. So here's your flat line, okay? You have a cookie, but you don't normally eat sugar. A little bit, but then sugar crash, always. So down here, you're feeling like you have no energy. You feel like you need a nap, or like at the very least just 5 minutes to close your eyes. So instead, because you're having a busy day and you can't do it, it's not the day for that. You have just a little bit of something to help you through. See how it went up a little bit more? Well, it's going to go down a little bit more. It's the way the carb cycle works. You have control over that carb cycle because it actually will slow and stay pretty steady by using fiber and including fiber. And not just eating simple sugar. So let's say you have a chocolate chip cookie and you indulge. Throw a handful of nuts in there. That means your carb cycle won't be as drastic, right? At the same time, this was just an example of what's happening in your adrenal system. It follows the same thing. You can see the same processes, the same thought process. If you really break your body down into the chemical functions and the actual functions that each component does within your body, you just have one really complicated computer system that runs like it came out of the 80s. What do you do about it? How can you use this to help you? Well, you know that if you're not going to get what you need from the food that you eat, that your body is going to try and manipulate it somehow by using your stress response. So the way to quiet that, to put your adrenal system back in the stop-start mode, because once you get into that, especially if you eat a lot of processed foods or you eat a lot of the same foods, you can eat healthy as a horse. But if you eat the same meals every single day, day in, day out, your body starts going, oh, but we're good. Like, we've already gotten these things from these foods. So we're good. It gets bored easily. Think of your brain like ADD, right? It's got ADD. If it gets bored, it's going to like sit, go away. It's going to sit and just say, I've already gotten these molecules over this meal. Like, I worked with someone once, and oh my God, she came to me. First, she wasn't eating enough calories, but the worst thing she was doing is she had spent 5 years in CrossFit, right? And she was amazingly strong. Amazingly strong. She was bodybuilding, right? She was going into bodybuilding competitions for strength lifting. And she followed this diet and literally had the same breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks every single day for 5 years. Same time, she rarely ever went off schedule. She rarely ever ate out because that would go against her diet. And she didn't adjust any flavors. So her tongue stopped tasting anything. She said everything tasted like cardboard, which, okay, yeah. No shit, Sherlock. You're feeding it the same thing all the time. It's a little known fact, if you have a favorite food and you want to eat it all the time, Don't. I know you want to. Don't. Just try this. Try this. If there's a food in your world that you do this with, stop eating it for a week. Just 1 week. Not asking for much. Just 1 week. Just 7 days. And then eat it again. You will see what I'm talking about. Your brain loves a challenge. It loves knowing that you have a wide variety, because what your brain thinks when you serve it a wide variety is we are in an area of the world that has plenty available for us. There's an abundance of micronutrients. We will never starve. We will never not have what we need. Because as cavemen and women, if we were in an area that had an abundance of fruit, produce, then we were able to survive, whether the hunters brought home fish and meat or not. All we have to do is take that and apply it to today. So how do you do that? Right? Now that you got what it is. All right, so I had a couple of really great ideas, and I'm going to go to my notes because I want to make sure I don't screw this up, because I had some great ideas, and then the boys were going to be home, and I'm like, I'm going to forget this. So hold on 1 sec. All right, so don't you love when I get excited about something? Brian's like, you always dance around. Uh-huh. All right, so this is where the concept of having a healthy gut equals having a healthy body, right? You feed it a variety. You figure out what your body actually needs, because your life to this point determines what your body needs. That includes health, that includes environmental exposure, that includes likes, dislikes, any injuries, anything you've put your body through. Basically, when you are born, that one moment in time, we are all the same. DNA-wise, I mean, genetic differences, obviously. But you can feed us exactly the same thing right then and there. You think? Nope. It is constantly changing. Every generation, it constantly changes. When a baby is born, they take on mom and dad's genetics, right? They take on the things that mom has been feeding them. Mine too in there. They have issues with dairy, but I didn't give them any dairy at all when I was pregnant. What you feed fetuses in the womb help them when they come out to fight illnesses, to eat, to digest, to do everything, right? So now fast forward from that little baby to you today. I'm 48. And man, I have put myself through so much shit. Oh my gosh. My phone tried to go into a software update. Oh, Samsung, I hate you. Seriously, I just had an update yesterday. All right, anyway, back to it. So, I hate that. Whew. Okay, so, I totally lost my train of thought. All right, so 48 years, right? And that's just me. I have fallen out of trees. I have eaten crappy ass food. High school, we were allowed to go out for high school. Well, there was 7-Eleven, right? So lunchtime we could basically go do whatever. Yeah, I went and I got a Slim Jim and Diet Coke every day. Real healthy. I can't eat a Slim Jim today. By the way, cannot stand beef jerky. Oh my God, I can't stand any of it. Anyway, all of those things, and as a child, I had a calcium deficiency. Like if I fell, I would break a bone. I've broken a lot of bones. I've run into a crowbar. I was playing hide and seek and I ran straight into a crowbar. Had stitches here, I got one here. I got stuff on my head. I broke my nose when I was like, I don't know, 2 or something like that. Or at least cracked it pretty good right there. So my dad and I share a little dent. And then all sorts of other stuff that I put myself through. I fell out of a shopping cart. So I'm not one of those moms that screws around with the shopping cart, especially with 2. But all of these things lead you to today, right? The dairy allergy, the other issues with like peas and the fact that when I have soy, I turn into a world-class bitch. That's not something that everyone deals with. So there are things that I need from foods that I'm not going to get from the foods that I can't eat. Vitamin D, calcium. I think that those are the 2 big ones, is vitamin D and calcium. Those are the 2 that I fight the most to get in. And it has nothing to do with dairy. It has a lot more to do with the fact that the foods that I would get calcium from are foods that I can't have a lot of. I literally have to make sure I have a variety in. Otherwise, out. Understanding what I need in my diet, the foods that I should be eating to replace the foods I can't, it took some time to figure out. But once I did, I can literally go shopping and figure it out like that. I can go to a restaurant and not look at the menu anymore before I go. And the whole purpose to understanding the signals that you're being sent and what they actually mean to you, not to me, because my signals have a completely different meaning than the ones that you get. I wrote down, where is the definition? Okay, where's the definition? I wrote the definition down because I love giving you guys, here it is. All right. Functional nutritionists go through something called the Functional Nutrition Lab for certification. Yes, it is on my radar. Trust me. They define BioIndividuality as we have a unique physiology and life experiences. Therefore, the signals sent and received by our body are different for each of us. It helps us understand how the body works and how our intricacies are the best path to health. The last part I wrote up because I didn't like what it was a very long paragraph. So those those components, those tiny little unique things to you, to your health, are what you need to figure out. Here's why. Your gut-brain connection, that communication pathway, is a crucial part to health. The signals that your gut sends to your brain, right, and back, help it understand what we actually need in that moment in time and what we're getting. If you don't understand, or if your brain, your hypothalamus, and your control center don't understand what's available to you, that you have this variety available to you, and that it's easily accessible and not something that you have to spend a lot of time thinking about, it's going to overwork itself. Vagus nerve, brain, gut work overworks, then what ends up happening? The adrenal system overworks. Now we're back in that spiral and that cycle. And I'm hoping I've said this enough that it kind of gets under your skin and you start looking at things and going, oh, wait a minute. Because the goal in my practice is to make sure that you guys eat healthy, that you live a healthy lifestyle, but that it's not the main focus of your world. Because here's the thing, our brain has better things to do than to figure out where we're going to get B vitamins and D vitamins. It does. The functions of our body, our eyesight, the hair, our hair growth, the health of our hair, the health of our skin, our teeth, all of these things, movements, you know, how our body ages. If our brain pays so much attention to the food that we're eating and making sure that we're getting enough to fuel all these different things, then now it's taking away from a well-balanced homeostatic body. Homeostasis just means that everything is in balance. In balance as much as your body can be. All of us have a different balance point. It's always going to go up and down, but as long as you can return to that balance, then your body will maintain its health. You will age slower. And what I mean by that is not appearance. I'm not talking about appearance. I'm talking about the things that you were able to do, the energy level that you have, the mobility that your body has, and your ability to do things that you did 10 years ago that you like to do. I'm definitely going to be sliding into my grave. Like, there is no question about that. But until then, I want to live life. And in order for me to live life, I have to eat in a way that my body is properly fueled. All right. We talked about signals last week. Here's the part where we kind of try and wrap this all up. So, what I want you to do, because rather than end this on, this is what you need to do, blah, 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 blah. I have a homework assignment for you. I want you to take this next week. Look at the things that you're eating and take notes of the things that you feel happier after the meal when you finish. Look at your mood. Look at the differences in your mood. And it doesn't matter how tired you are. I mean, most of us are sleep deprived for a variety of reasons. Take this week and just take note of how you feel after you eat the food that you're eating. You had a salad, how do you feel? You had lasagna, how do you feel? And not immediately, give yourself a good 20, 30 minutes. Just take note of it. Because we're going to start to pull together your BioIndividuality and help you create an intuitive eating program and pathway that works for you. And for the record, the reason I use intuitive eating in that term is because it legit listens to your body. But at the same time, there's a couple of different components about intuitive eating as a movement that apply. It's diet-free. It's not about diets. We don't put a program together that says you have to eat X number of calories this many times, blah, 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 blah. What we are going to do through these lives over the next couple of months is walk through a smaller version, a shorter, more simplistic version than the deep dive that we do within programs. When you sign up for a program, we are deep diving. And while the process that you and I are going to do here is going to be very similar, it follows the same path, it goes through the same steps. The difference is when we deep dive together, you kind of have a helping hand. And for some of us, we need that. For some of us, we got it. We're good. It's the reason there's so many options out there. I love it. I'm one of those people. There's some things in life that I don't want to work hand in hand with you. I don't want to work in a group. I got this. I want to read about it. I want to learn about it. I want to go do it on my own. So my lives and my videos and my podcasts and all of these things are designed to provide that element, but the psychological and emotional impact of deep diving without having someone to hold your hand when you're in a place where you need that, it can be pretty detrimental. That's why there's a difference in what we're doing here versus what we're doing in the programs. So go do your homework this week. We'll start to pull all this stuff together. And at some point in the future, in the near future, we'll get into this kitchen and go through a couple of different ways to prep recipes or make recipes, houses, that are easy, that don't take you a lot of time. Because there's quite a few of you here who last fall mentioned that was something that you were struggling with. So let's pull this together. Let's get some steps going for you. Let's get a couple little notes written down this week, and we'll pull it all together next week. How about it? All right. If you have questions, let me know. I wanted to make sure I kind of covered everything. Boys go back to school tomorrow, so if I go through this later and decide that there's things I missed, I'll pop up another video in YouTube for later this week just to kind of pair with it. The video from last week is up on YouTube. Ha! I learned, I did it, and it was like, so I didn't do it on my computer. But it's up, it's ready to be played, it's up there. If you missed last week, the live is obviously still in the group, but then you can go over to the YouTube and watch it from there as well. All right, guys, I will chat with you later. I'm gonna go check on the little toddler Tasmanians. I will chat with y'all later. Questions, let me know, DM me, all that good stuff. And yeah, have yourself a wonderful holiday. Enjoy whatever you are doing. All right, go be healthy.